My great-great-grandmother in Ecuador many years ago, she had a beautiful marriage. She married a man she loved. She came from a very wealthy family. He came from a very wealthy family. They had two boys. They had an idyllic relationship in life. And then one day, somebody put a drug in his drink, which caused him to lose his mind. So then she had to raise her two children, take care of the businesses by herself. It was really, really traumatic for her. My other great great grandmother, she was married to a veterinarian. He was successful. They were doing well. They had a large family. They didn't have a lot of luxury, but they were doing well. One day he left. He just up and left. They didn't hear about him again for 15 years. Then one evening while they were having dinner, he came home like he had been there every day for those last 15 years. He walked in, and my great great grandmother, she just said, "Good evening," like she would have said any day. And he sat down to have dinner, and they never talked about it again. My great grandmother, she was middle class. She married into a wealthy family. They were very, very happy. They had a daughter, and he was super, super rich, the kind of wealth that we can't even imagine these days. And he was also very responsible. They owned a lot of land, and he didn't want to just get rent from the land. He wanted to produce. So he was there. He wanted to get his hands dirty. He wanted to work the land with the people that work for him. And when he was doing that, he got bit by a mosquito, and he got yellow fever or malaria. We don't actually know, because back then in Ecuador, they used to think it was the same thing. And he got better from that. But a couple of years later, he died from weakening from the illness. And so my great-grandmother, she was left a widow with a 7-year-old child that she had to raise by herself. Then that child, my grandmother, she married a man that she thought really, really loved her. He was an engineer, and he was an officer in the army. He acted like he thought she was the world. But when she was pregnant with my first aunt, he cheated on her with her cousin, and then he continued to cheat on her throughout their whole life. And he had at least 2 extra families that we knew of. And so she also didn't have a happy marriage. Then my mom came along, and she married my dad really, really young. She was 17 years old when she married him. He was 5 years older than her. And they didn't have a happy marriage. He was abusive. She was codependent. She supported him. He didn't work. He just spent the money that she made. I used to think that at least they stayed together, and they stayed married. They didn't divorce or anything like that. But when he died a few years ago, we found out that they actually had been divorced for 48 years. Their marriage had lasted maybe 5-6 years. Then they got divorced, but they kept it a secret. They didn't tell anybody. And so I come from a long line of women that were not able to fulfill the ideal of having a happy love relationship with their husband and to raise a happy, functional family without a lot of struggles. I think part of my mission in this lifetime was to heal my mother line, to heal all my ancestors by myself having a healthy love relationship, having a good marriage, raising a happy, functional family. And by doing this, I believe that I broke what you could say was like a generational curse of believing that you can't have a happy love life and that you can raise a healthy family without having to go through a lot of hardship. And maybe those beliefs came from just reality being a lot harsher for previous generations. But some of it also came from not choosing the right partner. And so some of the life missions that you came to life with, they are for yourself. Other of your life missions are for others. And among the life missions that are for other people, those can be connected to things that your ancestors did not realize. So by you living today a happy, healthy, successful, beautiful life, you're also helping heal your ancestors. And through your ancestors, you can heal the whole family tree.